And today's topic, if you've been following entertainment or if you're a big fan of the comedy world and everything, we got an old school legend, George Lopez, versus the new kid on the block, Ralph Barbosa.
He was the most helpful individual back then. But what I have done is I've left a template on how to do shit. And then it's somebody's duty to go and do it.
Exactly.
But it is up to us to the Ralph Barbosas of the world to turn around and go, hey man, I want to make the path for you easy.
But nobody knows who that motherfucker is. What are you saying his name, man?
Look, I think he's great, and I'm doing
is that
it
wrong to say, Aaron?
I'm doing exactly what I'm preaching. Is
what do you mean you don't
can
know
we
him?
bring this kid up? Right?
Have you heard of him? Okay. Is it wrong for me to say why do you keep bringing his name up and nobody knows who he is?
It's funny to me.
And I don't mean it mean. I'm saying.
They got a little bit of beef going on and everything. George said some things. Ralph looked like he really didn't take it that personal. He made an appearance in Fragrant 2 podcast, put some things on social media. But the way George sounded in that clips, a little bit of an old-time hater right there. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, definitely somebody who, I guess from his perspective,
His time has passed.
His time has passed. It's easier now with the social medias, how they're set up and everything is easier to get out there. So maybe he seems like it's unfair to him and all the struggles he went through. And he sees how, how fast other people are rising to his level.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he comes from the old school. That route, that way was a totally different route. I'm a big fan of comedy. Oh, yeah. Whether it's the new thing right now or the old cats, But back then, it was none of the social media. Back then, you had to do reps, get spots at clubs. Maybe be the doorman in some of these clubs. And some see that as, a rough route to go. Social media being the way it is now, where all you need is a phone, have some funny clips, a nice little...
You just need one viral video, that's it.
Yeah, you can go from there. So, but do you think George Lopez is irrelevant right now?
So he's definitely past his prime. His time is definitely over.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you got to pay your respects that he kind of paved the way, kind of like he said on his podcast, like he left a template for people to follow, right?
Yeah. And
if you want to be successful, you'll follow that template and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had,
George Lopez show?
The George Lopez show.
Mm-hmm. Did you see any of his specials? Or were you a fan of his, like a diehard fan? Or did you follow him every time he's on TV? Did you stop what you were doing and go ahead and watch? What was
So, yeah, growing up, I didn't see any of his specials. I did watch the George Lopez show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was okay. It had its funny moments and all that stuff. But as far as his comedy specials, I can't recall any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against him. I just didn't grow up watching them.
Yeah.
I would say I went more of the fluffy route.
Oh, Gabriel Iglesias.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of, I guess, lean more towards,
Yeah.
Again, nothing against, George, but I was more into the show than I was his comedy specials. That's just my take.
Yeah, I will watch his show occasionally. I like one of his specials. I think the special is called Why You Crying? That was a funny one. But as far as Ralph Barbosa, comedian straight out of Texas, home state right here, very funny guy. I've seen some of his bits, some of his clips about the California laws and Texas laws and all that stuff. Very, very funny guy, and his response was, I don't want to say it was disrespectful, but it was more like, hey, I'm going to hold on my own. He did have like a clip video where he edited like a scene of Carlito's Way, him being Benny Blanco and, all that ordeal and stuff. And then he also made an appearance on the Fragrant 2 podcast. Really didn't seem that really bothered him. He kind of went along with the flow and everything. George Lopez did make a private apology to him, not public, and he pretty much said what he what he felt. What do you think about George Lopez bashing him publicly, but apologizing to him privately?
Watching the full content of the podcast or whatever it was, compared to the shorts that are floating around.
Yeah.
The shorts are definitely misleading. I feel like the full context of it, kind of explains it a little deeper.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't as bad as they made it seem, right? I mean, if he doesn't know who he was, you can't blame him for that. I mean, he didn't. It's the heat of debate, right?
Yeah.
You're in the heat of the moment. You're in mid debate.
You're trying to be funny.
You're trying to be funny, right? Sometimes things come out the wrong way. That's is what happens, right? Again, he's an old school guy. He probably thinks you should struggle to get to the top. And again, in social media being what it is today, one viral video away from being at his level, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So I see the hate and all that stuff, but if you see the full context, I feel like it wasn't as bad as the shorts made it seem. As far as the private apology, I respect that more than I do a public apology. I feel like public apologies, you're not apologizing to the person, you're apologizing for
trying to recover your image.
It's
an unpopular opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, for you to have the courage to actually give him a call, be like, hey, I apologize, it got, taken out of context, it was the heat of the moment,
Yeah.
All that stuff, you call him personally, I think that speaks volume, rather than just making pretty much a BS public apology that you probably didn't even write. It was your editor or whoever, your assistant. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, public apologies to me mean nothing.
Yeah, and Ralph looked like he's not losing any sleep for it. He's I think here in Houston, he's having a show in the next couple of weeks, or he had a show the past weeks. But this is the thing too. George said a thing that sticked out with me when he was on that podcast. He was asked the question saying, being a Mexican comedian, and you having that platform and that power, do you feel that you have to lead the way and help these young cats? And his response was like, no, I'm looking out for myself. If it ain't about me, I don't want to know nothing about it. And I kind of understand that. Depending what day it is or whatever, you might get, if you're like, hey, will you help other people? Your people, la raza. I will say yes. Maybe I will say no. Reason being, George Lopez has been around for a long time. Maybe he has cats that he helped out, made them look bad. Don't, gets them a spot here and there. Don't show up, don't live up to the hype, And it happens. Maybe George, he's helped out many, many cats that we don't know of. Again, the reason why we know about the apology being private is because Ralph said it. George didn't say it. So George might say, hey, I helped a couple cats. And they didn't really, live up or whatever the thing might be. So I kind of understand that.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the guy who goes public with everything good that he does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he seems like a pretty private guy.
Yeah.
But
doing research, I have found out that the man really doesn't do that much of helping up, his people. He really does, doesn't really, put them up there and give them a lot of stage time or, helping them out around with tours or very much openings, So, he does have that reputation. We don't know quite why, but again, I kind of don't blame him, just like everything else. We don't want to, when you're at work, the new guy, you don't want to, already just, here's everything. You want him to work for that paycheck and do his work. You don't want to hold him by the hand and everything, but in all honesty, my final thoughts on this is just, if you want to help somebody, cool. Whether, they're the same with your people, the same avenue or whatnot, you're being salty about it, I understand. You want to be helpful about it because things were hard on you and you want this new generation to come up and have it a little bit easier. I understand that too. Any final thoughts on your behalf?
Nah, I just kind of, pretty much respect the way Ralph kind of took his approach.
Took it.
He took it. I mean, he was pretty much unfazed by it.
He didn't budge.
He didn't budge at all.
He didn't budge.
If you've seen some of his videos and just that interview or podcast he had with Andrew Schultz, you kind of see he had a rough upbringing, right? So,
yeah.
So this pretty much wasn't anything to him. You know what I'm saying? So much respect to him for kind of handling how he handled it.
Young cat too.
Young cat.
Probably
right?
mid-20s. I forgot exactly what age, but probably his mid-20s.
Yeah, he's somewhere around there. But much respect to him. He took it like a champ. And it seems like no matter what, he's just going to keep going, which, something to admire, definitely. That no matter what, you can't let negative stuff bring you down. You just got to keep going.
The hustle continues.
Absolutely.
The hustle continues.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, let us know what you think about this. A lot of people feel some type of way because they're, he's a brown guy, he's a brown guy, they're Mexican, they're raza. We should probably help each other out. Comment below, let us know. Any final thoughts?
That is it.
Click like and subscribe. That will help us out a lot. If you like these type of videos of us addressing certain entertainment or in the comedy world, again, let us know. Thank you so much.
See y'all next time.
Want to hear a Mexican joke? You really want to hear a Mexican joke?
What?
A Mexican with third-degree burns. Refried beans.